Welcome. Tonight, we're unlocking the doors to places you might think of as safe havens hotels. But we're looking at the terrifying true stories, the crimes, the unexplained things that happened inside those anonymous walls.
Yeah, we've gathered these accounts that, honestly, they defy rational logic. Some cross deep into true crime territory. You check into a hotel room, you expect safety, right? But that very anonymity, sometimes it sets the stage for the darkest events.
Right. So our mission tonight in this deep dive is really to look at these unnerving events, figure out maybe what connects them. We'll relay the details just as they were told by the people who, well, lived through them or saw them happen. Let's start with one, a real nightmare scenario where trusting someone turned out to be a huge mistake, almost deadly. Okay, so this is the story of a traveler. Let's call her Zara. She went to this small kind of remote town in Russia. It was supposed to be for a business venture. She didn't really speak the language well. But her main contact there, a guy named Sergey, she said he was really friendly, maybe a bit too charismatic. He handled everything, arranged her accommodation.
And that right there, that level of trust given to a business contact in a place she didn't know, that's where the vulnerability starts in so many of these true crime situations. She sort of bypassed all the normal checks and balances, put her safety entirely in his hands.
Exactly. So she gets to the airport, but it's not Sergey who meets her. It's his friend, supposedly the owner of the hotel she's staying at. And this guy, she described him as huge, like a bear of a man, tall, bearded, and just silent, really unsettlingly quiet.
Okay, red flags already.
Yeah. He drives her quite far from the airport, and she's getting more and more nervous because they pull up to this place. It's clearly not a hotel. It's just a normal-looking house, kind of isolated. Maybe a B&B, she thought, at best.
The change in plans, the driver's silence, the location itself, definitely warning signs.
The terror, it started pretty much immediately. The man leads her inside, points to a door, says that's her room. He opens it, and it's not a room. It's rough wooden steps going straight down into total darkness, a basement. Zara, obviously freaked out, asks, where's the light? He just mumbles something like switches at the bottom.
And there's the trap, that small lie.
Yep. She takes a few steps down, leaning in to find the switch in the dark. And the second she's fully inside, slam. The door shuts behind her.
Oh, no.
And then the sound that just changed everything for her. The heavy thud of a lock being bolted. From the outside, she screamed, pounded on the door. Nothing, just silence. And she realized this is before cell phones were common. She was totally alone, powerless.
And the details of where she was trapped? Horrifying. It wasn't just any cellar. There was a dirty mattress in the corner, and near it, on the floor, a small pile of steel chains.
Ugh.
Yeah. And the only window was tiny, covered with thick metal bars. It was absolutely a purpose-built dungeon.
She said it was about 15 minutes, felt like 15 hours, just sheer panic, when she heard shouting upstairs, the big guy arguing with someone, and then she heard Sergey's voice, sounding really annoyed.
And what he said?
He said, clear as day, I told you not this way. That's next week's girl.
Oh my God. So it wasn't a mistake, it was a scheduling error.
Exactly. The door gets unlocked. Sergey's standing there trying to brush it off like, oh, mix up. Let me take you to a nice hotel. She just scrambled past him, got out of there, and was on the first flight out of Russia she could find.
The really chilling thing here is her escape wasn't luck. It was because the operation, this methodical evil, had a schedule. Sergey wasn't shocked. He was managing the process. That fake hotel, it screams human trafficking or some kind of fetish dungeon setup. It just shows how fast that veneer of normalcy, like a business trick, can just dissolve when someone's isolated.
Such a terrifying story.
Yeah.
And it hinges on that planned deception, right? An external threat. But sometimes the horror isn't an active threat. It's what gets left behind, abandoned in the room. Which brings us to a really shocking true crime case from Washington, D.C. This was back in the 90s.
Right. This involves a housekeeper. She was a refugee from Vietnam, working hard at a pretty high-end D.C. hotel. And hotel cleaning staff, because they see so many transient guests, they often end up being the ones who discover tragedies, unwittingly.
So this mysterious guest, apparently wealthy, checks into the most expensive suite, stays for over a month. Staff only knew him as Mr. M. And he had this one very strict rule. Nobody was allowed in the room, ever. The do not disturb sign was always up. He paid well, cash probably, never complained, seemed okay in passing. But yeah, the room was totally off limits.
And that's, a classic example of how that anonymity hotels offer can be weaponized. Paying for privacy, Mr. M basically used the hotel's own procedures against them, creating this totally unmonitored space for for way too long.
Then one day, Mr. N just disappears. Never checked out formally. No forwarding address, just gone. After a few days, the manager is getting concerned, probably about the state of the suite, and sends the housekeeper in to clean it. She unlocks the door, pushes it open, and is immediately hit by this smell. Heavy, disturbing, like decay mixed with just mess. The room looked like, she said later, like some wild, maybe violent party had gone on for weeks, clearly abandoned.
She starts cleaning, trying to figure out where that awful smell is coming from. It seems strongest near the closet. Inside the closet, on the floor, there's a big cardboard box taped shut. Her first thought as a cleaner is just get rid of whatever's making that smell.
She cuts the tape, opens the box, and is confronted with just the unimaginable, the rotting, decomposing head of a young woman.
Oh, God. The trauma must have been instant. Catastrophic. She screamed, ran out, apparently collapsed right there in the elevator. The hotel immediately became a major crime scene.
Police confirm Mr. M used a fake name, a fake credit card. He vanished without a trace. The victim, they later identified her as a local call girl.
And the impact on the housekeeper, profound. She quit that same day, couldn't face going back into another hotel room after finding something so horrific hidden away like that.
The takeaway there is just, it's devastating. How someone used the hotel system, the trust, the privacy to hide a murder for weeks. Luxury and comfort prioritized over, well, maybe asking more questions. It just enabled pure criminality.
It's strange, isn't it? While Mr. M's crime was brutally real, human, concrete, the kind of isolation and anonymity that allowed it also seems to, attract things that are harder to explain. The uncanny.
Yeah, let's shift gears slightly. This next one, it gets weird. It involves a night manager, let's call her E, and her roommate M. This happened at a fairly new hotel, late at night, around 2 a.m. So E, the night manager, she checks in a new guest. And she's immediately unnerved because this guest looks exactly like her own roommate, M. Like, identical. Same height, hair, eyes, even the same specific Southern accent, which was weird because they lived way up north.
A doppelganger. That's always unsettling.
Totally. Eve, you'd have tried to make a joke, showed the guest a picture of M on her phone, but the doppelganger guest was just cold. Didn't react, wouldn't acknowledge the resemblance. They just had to brush it off as a bizarre coincidence, especially because the real M was actually out of town visiting family. Okay, so the narrator of this story, who's the third roommate, stopped by the hotel around 2 a.m. just to hang out with E for a bit. They left shortly after. Then, maybe half an hour later, pulling into their garage at home, the narrator checks their phone, sees a bunch of frantic texts from E, all identical, all sent at exactly 2:17 a.m. The text just said, "Stop, not funny, you guys suck, what the hell?"
Okay, sounds like she thought they were pulling a prank.
That's what the narrator thought too, until they called E back. She was hysterical. E swore that moments after the narrator left, she saw the narrator and M both wearing the narrator's clothes from earlier standing silently at the end of the main hallway, just staring at the front desk.
Keep daring, not saying anything.
Nothing. E was yelling at them, telling them to stop, but they just stood there. Then the front desk phone rang. E glanced away for literally 1 second to see who it was.
And they were gone.
Vanish. Completely gone.
Okay, that's creepy. Especially since M was miles away.
Right. But here's the kicker. The part the narrator never told E. When the narrator got back inside their house after getting those texts, the clock in their kitchen, it was stopped, frozen, at exactly 2:17 a.m.
Whoa.
And right next to the stopped clock was a photo of the narrator and M smiling, a photo they had just gotten developed that afternoon.
Okay, that ties it together in a really disturbing way. It's not just the sighting, it's the timing, 2:17 a.m., showing up physically on the clock next to the photo. Like the hotel somehow facilitated this impossible vision, and that exact moment bled out into the real world. No logical explanation.
Freaky stuff. And sometimes the mystery isn't spectral, it's just baffling violence with no clear victim. This one happened at a Canadian hotel. Really puzzled the police.
Okay.
So according to the cleaning staff, the timeline was this. A man and woman check in around 11 p.m. About 2 hours later, say 1 a.m., 2 more men show up and go to their room. Then around 4 a.m., all 4 of them leave together, walk out, seemingly calm, no obvious injuries, looked fine.
Yeah, so 4 people were in the room.
Yeah. Then the cleaning crew goes in later that morning around 11 a.m. And the room, it's a horror show. Not just messy. It was completely soaked in blood, splattered on the walls, the floor. The mattress was saturated like all the way through, indicates a massive amount of blood loss.
Oh, wow. So they found, did they find anyone?
No, That's the thing. They joked at first like, wow, someone had a rough night. But the sheer volume of blood suggested something catastrophic happened. But here's the question, the mystery. Since all 4 guests walked out looking totally fine, apparently uninjured, what on earth happened in that room to cause that much blood loss?
Huh. That's deeply disturbing. So much blood, but everyone walks away.
Exactly. What kind of act causes that? And how does everyone involved just leave?
That silence, the lack of a body or a known victim, it's almost more terrifying. The police investigate a scene screaming extreme violence, but nothing leads anywhere because the participants just walked out. The hotel room becomes this anonymous stage for massive trauma, and then, poof, the actors disappear.
It really makes you think. Okay, let's wrap up with just 3 quick, chilling moments. High-rise hotels, isolation, and just impossible sights. First, the 18th floor peeper. Someone's just reading in bed, relaxing, looks up at the window, and there's a man staring in. Eyes bulging, face pressed right against the glass. Silent.
Okay, terrifying, but the key is the floor.
The 18th floor, no balcony, no fire escape, no ledge, absolutely no physical way for a person to be standing outside that window or to get away without falling.
Right. Defies physics. An impossible observation.
Next one, the crowded elevator. Guest gets into an empty elevator on the top floor, going down, and it stops on the 4th floor. Doors open. There are several people standing there waiting.
Okay.
But they don't get in. They just stand there, looking past the guest into the empty elevator car. The doors start to close, and just before they shut, the guest clearly hears someone outside say, "Why is the left so full of people?"
Whoa. So empty to the person inside, but crowded to the people outside. Like overlapping realities for a second. Weird.
Super weird. Okay, last one. The dark end. A manager at a fancy downtown hotel is leaving work late one night, sees what he assumes is a homeless guy sleeping on the front lawn. He's annoyed, tells the front desk staff to get him removed before morning.
Standard procedure, unfortunately.
Manager comes back the next morning. The guy is still there. He's furious, thinking the staff ignored him. He rushes outside to confront the guy himself, only to realize the man isn't just sleeping. And he's now wearing a very expensive suit coat over his clothes.
Oh, no. Don't tell me.
Yeah. It was a wealthy businessman who had jumped from a 12-story balcony hours before. He had been dead on the lawn all night.
Landed there and nobody saw him fall.
Nobody saw it. The manager went from being angry about a bum to the horrifying realization he'd been demanding staff remove a corpse that fell silently from the sky.
God, that's grim. You know, connecting these last few stories, the takeaway seems to be about how fragile those walls we count on really are. Hotels are built for comfort, yeah, but that anonymity, that detachment from normal life, it makes them stages for the most terrifying, the most inexplicable things. It's like when we're away from our own familiar spaces, maybe the normal rules of reality just slip a bit, and the darkness underneath gets a chance to surface.
Well said. Thank you, everyone, for following these really unnerving accounts with us tonight. If these stories left you feeling uneasy, maybe check behind the shower curtain next time you travel. But also, please press the like button. Share this account with others who appreciate these darker true stories. And definitely make sure you subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, for more deep dives into the shadows. Good night, and stay watchful.